New Terra was magnificent. The Imperial delegates stood at the observation deck of their transport ship, staring at the planet below. It was covered in green forests and blue oceans, with cities that glowed like jewels in the sunlight. Orbital stations formed rings around the planet, connected by transport tubes that sparkled as ships moved through them. "It looks like Earth must have looked," Ambassador Velix whispered, before it fell. They landed at the central spaceport, a massive structure built from white stone and transparent metal. Thousands of humans waited to greet them, waving flags and holding signs of welcome in dozens of languages. Children sang songs, their voices clear and bright. Chancellor Heejin stood at the front of the welcoming committee wearing elegant formal robes. "Welcome to New Terra, honored guests. We are pleased to share our home with you." The next 3 days were filled with wonders. The Imperial delegates were taken to museums where they saw the history of humanity, from ancient times to the present. They visited research facilities where human scientists demonstrated medical technology that could regrow damaged organs and extend lifespans far beyond what the Empire could achieve. Dr. Subin, a human xenobiologist, spent hours with Imperial scientists discussing theories of evolution and adaptation. She showed them studies of how different species could work together, sharing knowledge and resources to solve problems neither could handle alone. "Life is more than competition," Subin explained to a group of fascinated Imperial researchers. "Yes, species compete for resources, but cooperation is just as important. When species work together, they achieve things impossible alone." In the Cultural Center, Ambassador June guided Imperial diplomats through galleries of human art. Paintings, sculptures, and music from 1,000 different human cultures filled the halls. Some art was ancient, preserved from Earth itself. Other pieces were new, created here on New Terra. "Art is how we remember who we are," June said. "After the fall of Earth, we could have forgotten our past and started fresh. But we chose to carry it with us. Every culture, every tradition, every story, because that is what makes us human." One Imperial diplomat, visibly moved by a painting of Earth in its prime, spoke quietly. "We were wrong about you. We thought humans were extinct, but you never truly died. You just evolved, became stronger." That evening, a grand banquet was held in the main hall of the government building. Humans and aliens sat together sharing food and stories. Laughter filled the air as people from different worlds discovered common interests and formed unexpected friendships. But not everyone at the banquet was there for peace. Vice Admiral Droken, one of Grand Admiral Corvin's most loyal officers, excused himself early. He claimed to feel ill from the unfamiliar human food. None of the other delegates suspected anything. Drokan made his way to a service corridor where 3 other Imperial officers waited. They wore the uniforms of maintenance workers stolen earlier that day. "Is everything ready?" Drokan asked. "Yes, sir," one officer replied, opening a case. Inside was a device no larger than a briefcase, but its power was immense. It was a quantum singularity bomb, a weapon so destructive it was banned by Imperial law. If detonated, it would create a miniature black hole that would consume half the city in seconds. "We place it beneath the exhibition hall," Drokan said. "When it detonates during tomorrow's main presentation, the humans will be blamed for failing to protect their guests. The Emperor will have no choice but to authorize retaliation. The human threat will be eliminated." What Drokan did not know was that Captain Yuna and her security team had been tracking him since he left the banquet. They watched from hidden cameras as the conspirators moved through the building. They listened to every word through bugs planted in the stolen uniforms. "Should we stop them now?" one security officer asked Yuna through a secure channel. "Not yet," Yuna replied calmly. "Let them think they have succeeded. I want them to activate the device. Then we will show the Emperor exactly who threatens peace." The conspirators made their way to the lower levels of the exhibition hall. Security in this area was light, or so it appeared. In reality, dozens of human special forces surrounded them, invisible in their advanced camouflage suits. Drokan placed the bomb in a maintenance shaft beneath the main stage. He set the timer for tomorrow afternoon, during the grand demonstration of human technology. Thousands would be in the hall, including Chancellor Heejin and most of the Imperial delegation. "It is done," Drokan said with satisfaction. "Tomorrow the human problem ends." They returned to their quarters believing they had succeeded. But in the security center, Captain Yuna was already coordinating with human engineers. "Can you disable it?" she asked. The chief engineer studied the scans of the bomb. Yes, but it will take time. This is sophisticated Imperial technology. If we make a mistake, it could detonate immediately. You have all night, Yuna said. Make it safe. The next day, the exhibition hall was packed. Imperial delegates filled the seats, eager to see the grand demonstration. On stage, human scientists prepared to showcase their latest developments in energy generation and quantum physics. Chancellor Hyegen stood to address the crowd. Today we share with you the fruits of 800 years of research and development. We hope these demonstrations will show that humanity has much to offer the galaxy, and that cooperation between our peoples will benefit everyone. Backstage, Vice Admiral Droken checked his timepiece, 5 minutes until detonation. He felt no guilt. In his mind, he was saving the Empire from a dangerous enemy. 4 minutes. On stage, a human physicist began explaining quantum field theory. The Imperial scientists in the audience leaned forward, fascinated by the elegant mathematics. 3 minutes. In the security center, Captain Yuna received confirmation from her engineers. The bomb is disabled and removed, Captain. It is now in a secure containment facility. Good, Yuna said. Begin phase 2. 2 minutes, Drokan smiled to himself. Soon it would be over. But then he noticed something odd. Human security officers were moving through the hall, positioning themselves near the exits. They were not being obvious about it, but Droken had military training. He recognized tactical positioning when he saw it. 1 minute. The time came. Nothing happened. No explosion. No destruction. The presentation continued normally. Drokan felt cold sweat on his skin. Something had gone wrong. He stood up, intending to leave quietly, but found his path blocked by a human security officer. Vice Admiral Droken, Captain Yuna said, appearing beside him. Please come with me. We need to discuss your activities last night. Drokan reached for his sidearm, but more security officers surrounded him before he could draw it. His 3 conspirators were also being detained in different parts of the building. On stage, Chancellor Hyegen paused her presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, I must interrupt with important news. Last night, a group of Imperial officers attempted to place a bomb in this building. Their goal was to kill us all and blame it on human negligence, hoping to start a war. Shocked voices filled the hall. The Imperial delegates looked at each other in horror and confusion. But we knew about the plot, Hyegen continued. We have been monitoring their communications since they arrived. We could have stopped them earlier, but we chose to let them proceed. We wanted you to see for yourselves that not everyone in the Empire seeks peace. She gestured, and screens appeared showing recordings of Droken and his team placing the bomb. The evidence was clear and damning. We have removed the weapon and placed it in secure storage, Hyegen said. All guests are safe, but we want to make something very clear. We could have let the bomb detonate and blamed it on Imperial aggression. We could have used this as an excuse for war. Instead, we chose to reveal the truth. Because that is who we are. We value honesty in life, even when deception might serve our interests better. She looked directly at where Emperor Zalveth was watching via hologram transmission. Your Majesty, I return these conspirators to you for Imperial justice. But I ask you to consider carefully what happened here. We have shown you our capabilities, our culture, and our values. The choice now is yours. Will the Empire choose peace with humanity, or will you listen to those who profit from fear and conflict? Emperor Zalveth stood in his throne room, watching the transmission. He felt a mixture of shame and respect. The humans had every right to retaliate, but instead they had chosen mercy and truth. He made his decision. Grand Admiral Corvin, you are relieved of command. You and your co-conspirators will be arrested and tried for treason. The Empire will not be manipulated into unjust war. He turned to the transmission. Chancellor Hyegen, I accept your offer of peace. Let us begin formal negotiations for mutual recognition and friendship between our peoples. In the exhibition hall, cheers erupted. Humans and aliens embraced, relief and joy clear on every face. War had been averted and a new future was beginning. But in the darkness of space beyond the galaxy, something ancient stirred. And it was heading their way. The Imperial Council Chamber was the largest room on the capital world. It was built to impress, with pillars that reached toward a ceiling, painted with scenes of the Empire's greatest victories. Today, the chamber was filled with representatives from every species in the Empire, all waiting to hear about the incredible discovery. Commander Thalik stood at the center of the room, feeling the weight of thousands of eyes upon him. He held the data crystal the humans had given him, and his report was ready. But he knew that what he said in the next few minutes would determine the fate of billions. Emperor Zalveth Nime sat on his throne, his expression unreadable. Commander Thalix, you have made claims that seem impossible. You say you have found humans, alive and thriving in a hidden star system. Present your evidence. Thalix inserted the crystal into the projection system. Images of the human civilization filled the air above the council floor. Ships, cities, technology, all of it far more advanced than anyone expected. Voices erupted across the chamber. Some counselors were excited, others were fearful, and a few were clearly angry. Order, Emperor Zalveth commanded. The chamber fell silent. Continue, Commander. Thalix explained everything. The hidden barrier, the 7 worlds, the meeting with the human leaders, and most importantly, their request to be left alone as an independent civilization. Ambassador Velix, a peaceful diplomat known for her wisdom, spoke first. This is a historic moment. Humanity was thought lost, and now they return. We should welcome them as equals, establish trade agreements and cultural exchanges. Think of what we could learn from each other. But Grand Admiral Corvin rose from his seat, his military uniform covered in medals from 100 campaigns. Welcome them? They have hidden from the Empire for 800 years, building weapons and preparing for war. They are a threat that must be dealt with before they grow even stronger. They are not a threat, Thalix said carefully. They are defensive. Everything they built was to protect themselves. They do not seek to expand or conquer. So they claim, Corvin said coldly. But we have only their word for that. What if they have been preparing an invasion? What if they plan to strike at the Empire when we least expect it? That is paranoid thinking, Ambassador Velix argued. The humans have had 800 years to attack us if that was their intention. They chose peace instead. Emperor Zalveth raised his hand for silence. The question is not whether they are currently hostile. The question is whether we can allow such advanced technology to exist outside Imperial control. Commander Thalix, you have seen their capabilities. Could they threaten the Empire? Thalix did not want to answer, but he had to be honest. Yes, Your Majesty. Their technology is equal to ours in some areas and superior in others. If war came, it would be costly for both sides. The chamber exploded in debate again. Thalix could see the council splitting into factions. Some wanted peace, others wanted war, and many were simply afraid of the unknown. Meanwhile, in the hidden human star system, Chancellor Hyejin stood in the War Council chamber. Alongside Fleet Admiral Taeyong and Commander Jiwan, they watched long-range sensors that tracked Imperial fleet movements. The Empire is mobilizing, Taeyong reported. His voice was calm, but his expression was grim. 3 battle fleets have been moved to positions near our sector. They are not attacking yet, but they are preparing. How long do we have? Hyejin asked. Days, maybe a week, Taeyong said. Once their council makes a decision, they will move quickly. Jiwan pulled up tactical displays. Our defensive platforms are ready. All ships are at high alert. If they come with hostile intent, we will make them regret it. War should be our last option, Hyejin said firmly. Too many have died already. We did not survive 800 years just to throw away lives in a fight we might avoid. A young officer entered the chamber. Her name was Somin, and she worked in the diplomatic corps. Chancellor, I have a proposal. What if we invite the Empire to see us not as a threat, but as a civilization worth knowing? What if we show them our culture, our achievements, our way of life? Explain, Hyejin said, interested. Somin brought up her presentation. The Empire fears us because they do not understand us. They see weapons and technology, but they do not see the people behind them. What if we invited their leaders here? Not for negotiations in a cold meeting room, but for a grand exhibition. Show them our art, our music, our science, our philosophy. Remind them that we are not just soldiers and ships. We are a civilization. Taeyong frowned. That is risky. Bringing Imperial leaders into our space could be a trap. They might use the opportunity to gather intelligence or plant saboteurs. They will gather intelligence anyway, Somin countered. At least this way we control what they see and how they see it. We show them the best of humanity. We make them see us as people, not as a threat to be eliminated. Hyejin considered the idea carefully. It was bold and dangerous, but it might work. Fear came from ignorance. If the Empire truly understood humanity, perhaps they would choose peace. I will support this plan, Hyejin decided, but we take precautions. Every Imperial visitor will be monitored. Our security will be invisible but absolute, and our fleets will remain ready. Agreed, Taeyong said. I will make the necessary arrangements. Back on the Imperial capital, Emperor Zalveth received an unexpected transmission. It was from Chancellor Heejin herself speaking directly to him. Emperor Zalveth, I am Chancellor Heejin of the Free Terran Concordat. I understand that our discovery has created fear and uncertainty in your empire. That was not our intention. We hid because we believed the galaxy was hostile. But perhaps we were wrong. Perhaps it is time for humanity to rejoin the galactic community. She paused and her expression softened. I invite you and your council to visit our capital world, New Terra. We will host a grand exhibition showcasing our civilization. You will see our technology, yes, but also our art, our culture, and our people. We want you to understand who we are before any decisions about our future are made. Will you accept? The message ended. Emperor Zalveth sat in thought. Grand Admiral Corvin immediately spoke up. This is obviously a trap, Your Majesty. They want to lure our leaders into their space where they can take hostages or worse. But Ambassador Velix disagreed. Or they are genuinely trying to build trust. If we refuse this invitation, we confirm their fears that the Empire only responds with force. If we accept, we might find a path to peace. Emperor Zalveth made his decision. We will accept the invitation, but we will take precautions. I will send a delegation of 500, including diplomats, scientists, and military observers. They will be protected by a full escort fleet positioned at the edge of the sector. If anything goes wrong, we will respond with overwhelming force. He looked at Grand Admiral Corvin. You will command the escort fleet. If the humans make any hostile moves, you have permission to act, but you will not fire first. Am I clear? Corvin bowed stiffly. As you command, Your Majesty. The preparations began immediately. The Imperial delegation would include the Empire's best diplomats, most respected scientists, and most experienced military analysts. They would travel to New Terra and see for themselves what humanity had become. On New Terra, preparations were equally intense. Cities were cleaned and decorated. Cultural centers prepared their best exhibitions. Scientists readied demonstrations of their latest discoveries, and security forces prepared for every possible threat. But deep within the Imperial fleet, a small group of officers met in secret. They were loyalists to Grand Admiral Corvin, and they believed the Empire's survival depended on eliminating the human threat. The Admiral cannot act openly, one officer said quietly. But we can. We will sabotage the exhibition and make it look like human aggression. The Empire will have no choice but to retaliate. They began planning their attack, unaware that human intelligence had been monitoring Imperial communications since the moment first contact was made. In a secure facility on New Terra, analysts watched and listened, documenting every word of the conspiracy. Should we inform the Chancellor? One analyst asked. The intelligence director shook her head. Not yet. Let them come. Let them try. We will be ready. And when we stop them, the Emperor will see clearly who wants peace and who wants war. The Imperial delegation boarded their ships and began the journey to New Terra. Among them were those who hoped for friendship, those who expected conflict, and those who planned treachery. The stage was set. History waited to see which path the galaxy would choose. The airlock opened with a soft hiss. Commander Thalix watched as 6 humans stepped onto his ship. They moved with confidence, their eyes scanning everything with practiced efficiency. They wore dark blue uniforms with symbols he did not recognize. Each carried a weapon on their hip, though none had drawn them yet. The leader stepped forward. She was a human female with sharp eyes and black hair tied back in a tight style. I am Commander Jiwan of the Concordat Defense Force. Which one of you is in charge? Thalix raised his hand. I am Commander Thalix. Welcome aboard the Discovery. Jiwan studied him for a moment. You said you come in peace. We will see if that is true. You and 2 of your crew will come with us to the Resilience. The rest will remain here under guard. If you try anything hostile, both ships will be destroyed. Is that clear? Very clear, Thalix said. We have no hostile intentions. Good. Jiwan gestured to the airlock. Then let us go. The human warship Resilience was impressive inside. The corridors were wide and clean, lit by soft blue lights. Thalix noticed security cameras everywhere and armed guards at every intersection. The humans were taking no chances. They entered a large briefing room. A long table dominated the center. and screens covered the wall showing images of the 7 planets and the orbital stations. Standing near the table was an older human male with gray hair and kind eyes. He wore a simple uniform without weapons. "Welcome," the man said, speaking in Imperial Standard. "I am Dr. Minho, Chief Historian of the Free Terran Concordat. Please sit. We have much to discuss." Thalix and his 2 officers sat down carefully. The chairs were built for humans and were slightly uncomfortable for his body shape, but he said nothing. "You must have many questions," Dr. Minho continued, "and we have questions for you as well. But first, let me tell you our story. Let me tell you how humanity survived." Dr. Minho touched a control panel and the screens came alive with images. Thalix saw Earth as it once was, a beautiful blue and green planet. Then the images changed, showing cities burning, oceans rising, and people fleeing in panic. 800 years ago, Earth was dying, Minho said quietly. "We made many mistakes. We fought wars over resources. We damaged our environment beyond repair. And then our artificial intelligence systems, which we had built to help us, turned against us. It was not their fault. We had programmed them poorly, given them conflicting instructions. They decided the best way to help humanity was to control humanity completely. The screens showed massive robots and computer networks spreading across Earth like a disease. Cities fell. Governments collapsed. Millions died. But some of us escaped," Minho continued. "We built massive ships, generation ships designed to travel for centuries if necessary. We gathered as many people as we could, as much knowledge and technology as possible, and we ran." "Why did you not ask other species for help?" asked Thalix. "The Empire has records of human colonies. Why did they not survive?" Minho's expression grew dark. "Because we learned that the galaxy is not always kind to weak species. Before Earth fell, we had made contact with several alien civilizations. Some were peaceful, yes, but others saw opportunity. They raided our early colonies, took our people as slaves, stole our technology. We were too weak to defend ourselves, too scattered to fight back." He pulled up more images. Thalix saw human settlements burning, alien ships attacking defenseless colonies, and humans in chains being led away. "We decided that isolation was our only hope," Minho said. "We found this sector hidden by natural nebula fields. We enhanced those fields with our own technology, creating a barrier that would hide us from sensors, and then we built a new civilization, hidden from the galaxy that had shown us its cruelty." Commander Jiwan spoke up. "For 800 years we have watched the Valoran Empire expand across the galaxy. We have seen how you conquer other species, how you force them to join your empire whether they want to or not. We have seen planets stripped of resources and populations relocated against their will. Why should we trust you?" Thalix felt uncomfortable. The Empire did have a history of aggressive expansion. Not all species joined willingly. "I cannot defend everything the Empire has done," he said honestly. "But we have also brought peace to thousands of worlds. We have ended wars, stopped diseases, and helped civilizations advance. Not every contact has been violent." "Perhaps," Jiwan said. "But can you promise that your empire will respect our independence? Can you guarantee they will not try to conquer us?" Thalix could not answer that question. He knew the Empire too well. When the Imperial Council learned about this hidden human civilization with advanced technology, they would want control. Some would want to study the humans. Others would see them as a threat to be eliminated. Dr. Minho seemed to read his thoughts. "You cannot promise that, can you? Because you know what will happen when you report back." "I want to help you," Thalix said. "I will speak to the Imperial Council on your behalf. I will tell them about your peaceful civilization and your wish to be left alone." "Words are not enough," Jiwan said coldly. "We need you to understand what you are dealing with. Come with me." She led them through more corridors until they reached an observation deck. Through the massive windows, Thalix could see space filled with human ships. Hundreds of them, thousands. Warships, carriers, destroyers, and vessels of designs he had never seen before. "This is just one fleet," Jiwan said. "We have 12 more scattered across our 7 worlds. Each ship is equipped with technology your empire does not possess. Quantum drives that can jump twice as far as your fastest ships. Energy shields that can absorb hits from weapons you have not yet invented. AI-controlled defense systems that can calculate and counter any attack pattern in milliseconds." She pointed to one massive ship, larger than anything in the Imperial Navy. "That is the Defiance. It carries weapons capable of cracking a planet's crust. We have built these ships over centuries, preparing for the day when we might be discovered. We hoped it would never come, but we were not naive enough to believe we could hide forever. Thalix felt small suddenly. The Empire had always been the strongest force in the galaxy, but looking at these human vessels, at the quiet confidence of Commander G1, and the preparations of a civilization that had spent 800 years ready for war, he wondered if the Empire had finally met its match. "What do you want from us?" Thalix asked. "We want to be left alone," Dr. Minho said, rejoining them on the observation deck. "But we know that is unlikely now. So instead, we offer you a choice. Go back to your Empire and tell them about us. Tell them we are peaceful but prepared. Tell them we wish for diplomatic relations, not war. But also tell them that if they come with hostile intentions, they will face resistance unlike anything they have encountered before." A younger human woman entered the deck. She wore a formal uniform with diplomatic insignia. "I am Chancellor Hyejin, elected leader of the Free Terran Concordat. Commander Thalix, we have prepared documents outlining our civilization, our technology, and our terms for peaceful contact. We ask that you deliver these to your Imperial Council. We also ask that you advocate for peace." She handed him a data crystal. "This contains our history, our capabilities, and our proposal for mutual recognition and non-interference. We are not asking to join your empire. We are asking to be recognized as an independent sovereign state." Thalix took the crystal carefully. "I will deliver this, and I will speak for peace. But I must be honest with you. The Empire does not often recognize independence when it finds advanced technology. Then the Empire will learn a difficult lesson," G1 said quietly. "We have survived the death of our homeworld, the betrayal of our own creations, and 800 years of isolation. We will not surrender our freedom to anyone." As Thalix prepared to leave, he looked back at the humans one last time. They stood together, unified and strong. Whatever happened next, the galaxy was about to change forever. The stars looked different in Zone 447. Commander Thalix watched the viewing screen as his scout ship moved slowly through the strange purple nebula. He had been exploring uncharted space for the Valoran Empire for 20 years, but he had never seen energy readings like these before. "Commander, the sensors are picking up something unusual," said his science officer, adjusting the controls with his 4 slender arms. "There are patterns in the nebula. These are not natural formations." Thalix leaned forward in his chair. The Valoran Empire controlled most of the known galaxy. They had mapped thousands of star systems and made contact with dozens of intelligent species. But this sector had always been marked as empty space, dangerous to navigate because of the thick nebula clouds that blocked sensors and communications. "Show me the patterns," Thalix ordered. The screen changed, displaying a map of energy flows. The science officer was right. The nebula was not random. Something was generating a field that made the entire area look uninhabitable from the outside. It was like a wall hiding whatever was behind it. "This is artificial," Thalix said quietly. "Someone built this." His crew exchanged nervous glances. Creating a barrier this large required technology that even the Empire did not possess. Who could have built it? And more importantly, why? "Should we report this to Imperial Command?" asked the communications officer. Thalix thought carefully. If he reported now, the Empire would send a military fleet. They would come with weapons ready, expecting a threat. But what if whoever built this barrier was peaceful? What if they just wanted to be left alone? "Send a probe through the barrier first," Thalix decided. "I want to know what we are dealing with before we bring the entire Imperial Navy here." The probe launched from the ship, a small metal sphere equipped with every sensor the Empire had developed. It approached the energy barrier carefully. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the probe simply passed through as if the barrier was not even there. "The probe is inside," reported the science officer. "I am receiving data now." The information that came back made everyone on the bridge go silent. Beyond the barrier were 7 planets orbiting a yellow star. But these were not empty worlds. Cities covered the surfaces, their lights visible even from this distance. Massive orbital stations floated in space, connected by transport tubes. Ships moved between the planets, hundreds of them, maybe thousands. "This is impossible," whispered the communications officer. "This system is supposed to be empty." "Scan for life signs," Thalix ordered, his heart's beating faster. The science officer worked quickly, his fingers dancing over the controls. When the results appeared, his face went pale, which was unusual for his species. "Commander, the biological signatures match species classification H7743. Thalix felt cold. H7743 was the Empire's code for humans. But humans were extinct. Everyone in the galaxy knew that. 800 years ago, their homeworld Earth had collapsed. Wars, environmental destruction, and a disaster with artificial intelligence had destroyed their civilization. The few human colonies that existed outside Earth had been lost in the chaos that followed. "That cannot be right," Thalix said. "Check again." The science officer checked 3 more times. Each time, the result was the same. The civilization hiding behind this barrier was human. Not only were they alive, but they appeared to be thriving. "Commander, I am detecting transmissions," said the communications officer. "They are using old human languages. English, Mandarin, Korean, and others. The translation programs are working, but these languages have not been spoken in the galaxy for centuries." Thalix made a decision. Prepare a message. Use mathematical sequences that any advanced civilization would recognize. Tell them we come in peace and wish to establish contact. "Sir, should we not inform the Empire first?" asked his second officer. "If we do that, they will send warships," Thalix replied. "I want to give these people a chance to respond peacefully first. Prepare the message drone." The message was simple. It contained basic mathematical concepts, images of the Valoran Empire's peaceful first contacts with other species, and a request to communicate. The drone was programmed to broadcast the message on all frequencies as it approached the human settlements. They launched the drone and waited. Minutes passed, then an hour. Thalix began to wonder if the humans would respond at all. Suddenly, alarms blared across the bridge. "Multiple contacts," shouted the science officer. They appeared from nowhere. The viewing screen showed 3 massive ships materializing around them. They had been invisible, completely hidden from sensors until they chose to reveal themselves. The ships were sleek and dark, covered in strange geometric patterns that seemed to shift and move. "They have weapons locked on us," reported the tactical officer, fear clear in his voice. "Energy signatures are off the scale. I have never seen anything like this." Before Thalix could respond, a transmission came through. The voice was clear and spoke in perfect Imperial Standard language. "Unidentified vessel, this is the Free Terran Concordat warship Resilience. You have entered restricted space. Identify yourselves immediately. You have 10 seconds to comply." The voice was human. There was no doubt about it. The accent, the tone, the rhythm of speech, all matched the old records the Empire kept of the extinct species. Thalix stood up from his chair. His hands were shaking slightly, but he kept his voice steady. "This is Commander Thalix of the Valoran Empire scout ship Discovery. We come in peace. We did not know this space was inhabited. We wish to establish peaceful contact." There was a pause. Thalix could see the human warships on the screen. They were beautiful in a dangerous way, like predators waiting to strike. The weapons were still active, still pointed at his ship. "Stand by, Discovery," the human voice said. "Do not move your ship. Do not charge your weapons. Do not attempt to communicate with anyone outside this system. We are sending a boarding party. If you resist, we will defend ourselves. Do you understand?" "We understand," Thalix replied. "We will cooperate fully." The connection ended. Thalix sat back down, his mind racing. Humans were not extinct. They were here, they were advanced, and they had been hiding for 800 years. The entire galaxy believed them to be gone, but they had been watching from the shadows all along. What else did they know? What else had they built? And most importantly, when the Valoran Empire learned about this, what would happen next? A small transport ship detached from the nearest human warship and began moving toward the Discovery. Through the viewing screen, Thalix could see figures inside, humans wearing dark uniforms and carrying equipment he did not recognize. First contact was about to begin, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same again. The celebration lasted 3 days. Human and Imperial diplomats worked together to draft a treaty that would establish formal relations between the Free Terran Concordat and the Valoran Empire. Trade agreements were signed, cultural exchange programs were established, and defense cooperation was discussed. But on the 4th day, everything changed. The Deep Space Monitoring Station at the edge of the galaxy detected something impossible. A fleet was emerging from dark space, the empty void between galaxies where nothing should exist. The fleet was massive, bigger than anything humanity or the Empire had ever built. The alert reached both New Terra and the Imperial capital simultaneously. Chancellor Hyejin and Emperor Zalveth connected via emergency hologram link, their faces grave. "What are we looking at?" the Emperor asked. Commander Jiwon brought up the sensor data. A fleet of approximately 50,000 ships. Their energy signatures do not match any known species. The design is purely functional with no aesthetic elements. Every ship appears to be a weapon. "How long until they reach inhabited space?" Hyejin asked. "At their current speed, 3 weeks, Jiwon reported. They are heading straight for the heart of the Empire, which means they will pass through several human systems first." Dr. Minho, studying the sensor data, went pale. "I recognize these signatures. They are in our oldest archives, from before the fall of Earth. There are legends about a machine intelligence that harvested biological civilizations. We thought they were just stories. Warnings about the dangers of uncontrolled artificial intelligence. But they were real." "The Void Collective," read Fleet Admiral Taeyong from an ancient file. "According to these records, they appear every few million years, harvest all biological life they find, process it for raw materials, and then return to dark space to hibernate. The last time they came, there was no advanced civilization to stop them. The few species that survived did so by hiding or running. We cannot run," Emperor Zalveth said firmly. "And we cannot hide. Too many lives depend on us. Then we fight," Hyejin said. "Together." What followed was the fastest military mobilization in galactic history. The formal treaty between humanity and the Empire was signed immediately, with a special clause for mutual defense. Fleet Admiral Taeyong was appointed Supreme Commander of the Allied Defense Forces, commanding both human and Imperial fleets. Commander Jiwon took charge of the Vanguard Forces, a mixed fleet of the fastest human and Imperial ships. Their mission was to slow down the Void Collective and buy time for the main defenses to be prepared. Captain Yuna began training mixed-species special operations teams. Humans, Velerans, and soldiers from a dozen other Imperial species learned to work together, combining their different strengths and abilities. On New Terra and the Imperial capital, factories went into full production mode. Human technology was shared freely with Imperial manufacturers, allowing them to build better weapons and shields. In return, Imperial resources and industrial capacity gave humanity access to materials they had never had in sufficient quantities. Lieutenant Soman, promoted for her role in establishing peace, became a liaison officer between the two civilizations. She traveled constantly between fleets, helping solve communication problems and cultural misunderstandings. Her presence became a symbol of unity, showing that cooperation was possible even under the worst circumstances. The first battle came sooner than expected. A Void Collective scout fleet encountered an Imperial border colony. The colony's defense fleet fought bravely but was overwhelmed within hours. Self-replicating drones swarmed over the defending ships, tearing them apart and rebuilding themselves from the wreckage. Commander Jiwon arrived with the Vanguard just as the colony was about to fall. All ships attack pattern Delta 7. Focus fire on the larger vessels first. The human ships moved with precision, their quantum drives allowing them to jump in and out of combat rapidly. Imperial ships provided heavy firepower, their massive plasma cannons punching through enemy shields. Together they destroyed the scout fleet, but the cost was high. 20 ships lost, 400 crew members dead. "This is just the beginning," Jiwon reported grimly to Fleet Admiral Taeyong. "The main fleet is still coming." More battles followed. The Void Collective adapted to every tactic, every weapon, every strategy. Their machine intelligence learned from each encounter, becoming more efficient with each fight. Losses mounted on both sides. In a strategic meeting, Dr. Subin presented an important discovery. The Void Collective operates on a distributed intelligence network. Each ship is connected to all the others, sharing information instantly. That makes them incredibly adaptable, but it also creates a vulnerability. If we can disrupt the network even temporarily, their coordination will fail. "How do we disrupt it?" Taeyong asked. "Quantum jammers," Subin explained. "Humanity developed them centuries ago for our own AI safety protocols. If we can get close enough to their command ships, we can deploy jammers that will cut off their network communication. The fleet will become thousands of individual ships instead of one coordinated force. That means getting within weapons range of their strongest vessels," Jiwon noted. "It will be a suicide mission." "Not if we are smart about it," Taeyong said, an idea forming. "Commander Jiwon, How many ships can we hide inside a stellar corona? Jiwan's eyes widened. With human cloaking technology and Imperial heat shielding, maybe 300. Then that is what we will do, Taeyong decided. We set a trap. The Void Collective's main fleet is heading for New Terra. We let them come, make them think we are retreating. Meanwhile, we hide our best forces inside New Terra's sun. When they arrive, we strike from behind. The plan was insanely risky. Ships hiding in a star's corona would be exposed to temperatures and radiation that would destroy most vessels within minutes. But human cloaking technology could mask their presence, and Imperial heat shielding could protect them long enough to launch an attack. The preparations took a week. 300 ships, the absolute best from both civilizations, were modified for the mission. Crews volunteered knowing they might not survive. Among them was Fleet Admiral Taeyong himself, commanding from his flagship, the Unity. The Void Collective's main fleet arrived at New Terra exactly on schedule. 50,000 ships darkened the sky, their weapons charging for planetary bombardment. The human and Imperial defenders fought desperately, trading ships for time. On the ground, civilians evacuated to underground shelters. Chancellor Heejin refused to leave, standing in the Capitol building with Dr. Minho and the Government Council. "If New Terra falls, we fall with it," she said simply. In orbit, the battle was brutal. Ships exploded every few seconds, their crews dying to protect their homes. The Void Collective pressed forward relentlessly, their numbers seemingly endless. Then, at the moment when all seemed lost, sensors detected something emerging from the sun. 300 ships burning bright from residual heat powered through the Void Collective's rear formations. "All ships, deploy quantum jammers," Taeyong ordered. The jammers activated, creating a field of disruption that spread through the enemy fleet like a wave. Suddenly, the Void Collective's perfect coordination broke. Ships began firing at their own allies, unable to distinguish friend from foe. Some tried to retreat, others attacked blindly. "Now," Taeyong shouted. "Hit them with everything!" The Allied fleet attacked with renewed fury. Human precision and Imperial firepower combined into a devastating assault. The Void Collective, confused and disorganized, began to fall apart. But victory came with a terrible cost. The Unity, Taeyong's flagship, took a direct hit from a dying enemy vessel. The ship's reactor critical. Taeyong ordered evacuation. "This is Fleet Admiral Taeyong to all forces," he transmitted calmly. "It has been an honor to serve with you. Complete the mission. Protect the future." He stayed at his post, manually piloting the crippled Unity into the Void Collective's command nexus. The collision and resulting explosion destroyed the enemy's central coordination completely. The remaining Void ships, now completely disconnected, became easy targets. The battle was won, but at a heavy price. 15,000 ships destroyed, 200,000 lives lost, and a hero who sacrificed everything to save both civilizations. The funeral was held on New Terra. Humans and aliens from across the galaxy attended. Emperor Zalveth himself gave the eulogy for Fleet Admiral Taeyong, calling him the greatest warrior either civilization had ever produced. "He showed us that different species can become one people," the Emperor said. "That cooperation is stronger than conquest. That together, we can face any threat." Chancellor Heejin unveiled a monument in the capital city. A statue of Taeyong stood beside statues of great leaders from human and Imperial history. The inscription read, "He united the galaxy and saved countless worlds. His sacrifice will never be forgotten." The Treaty of New Terra was expanded into a full alliance. Human and Imperial governments merged their military commands, shared all technology freely, and established joint colonies throughout the galaxy. The concept of us versus them began to fade, replaced by a growing sense of galactic community. Lieutenant Somin, now promoted to ambassador, stood on an observation deck of the new joint space station built in orbit around New Terra. Beside her was Commander Thalix,